All right, going. Got to cross. Got to pause this Brody. All right, lots of people out. Bit of an audio tour. Heading towards the unfinished Beltline. Might be meeting James along the way. Today is the day of the belt grind race on the unfinished Beltline, and so since I'm not biking, I'm gonna walk it. It's 19 miles. It will start and end at the exact same point. I'm actually about to be at the start of it for me. So, let me open this door, the one that everyone keeps breaking. I don't understand why the mechanics of this door are so beyond people. So, anyway, out here. Slept outside last night. That was cool. Pretty comfortable. You know, when you're outside, you hear just a bunch of noises. And I remember waking up at some point scared, like of a noise I had heard or one that I dreamed, or I don't even know what it was. But it's not the first time that's happened, like just to wake up. It's almost like a dream feeling, like it doesn't take very long to dissipate, because I'm just kind of like, well, I mean, what could the noise have been? And what are the chances that anyone would even see my tent? And what are the chances that the thing I even heard was a human? Who knows? I might have been woken up by the screech of a tire. But, you know, the mammalian processing unit interpreted it as like a pterodactyl, so I woke up with feeling that I was being hunted by a predator. Like, you know, the MPU, mammalian processing unit. And now I'm crossing the Beltline at Boulevard. MARTA bus going by. People letting me through. Oh, thanks. Or not. That was sketchy. I don't like that. I typically go across this intersection, and there's not really been a crosswalk here historically until very, very recently. And so I just wait until it's safe to go. But someone just tried to usher me across, and it didn't really work out very well. Crossing 4 lanes of traffic. There's a lot of coordination, and there's no light. Morning. So that might be a first and last situation right there. People, you know, they're trying to be helpful, they're trying to be nice, and I think most people try to do the best that they can, generally speaking. But at the end of the day, people are people. And coordination, I can't say coordination isn't a strong suit, because I mean, we have iPhones and space shuttles, so coordination is obviously a strong suit. But let's just say, despite our own self-knowledge and understanding of the world, we are still certainly prone to make mistakes. I should take a picture of this thing for my dad. Let me see. Make sure we're still recording even. Yep. And James sent me a message saying okay. Don't know if this can actually take a picture while recording, but make sure we're still recording, because anytime I use my camera, it always interrupts my music, so there's no reason to think that the recorder is impervious to that same kind of interaction between programs. Anyway, let's get to business here. It's Sunday, March 24th. It's 10:20 a.m. I'm officially on the unfinished Beltline. My shirt is riding up my back. I'm wearing the worst backpack in the world, but it's the only alternate to my Appalachian Trail backpack, which is just a little too unwieldy to have out here for what I'm needing to do. The backpack I'm wearing is extremely uncomfortable, and when it's loaded with things, the way the weight is distributed, it's very painful. I'm probably loading more into it than it's designed for, to be fair. But I've got a little wood thing in the middle of the belt line. I'm gonna go ahead and move to the side since the race is going to be going on today. I don't really want to have an obstacle like that I passed by that might have turned out to hurt somebody. And I almost just threw this little ribbon I almost threw this little ribbon along with this wooden stake that's in my hand right now. I almost threw it into the forest, which in my ethical understanding would have been littering, because the ribbon was disconnected from the wooden stake. They were obviously one and the same at some point, but the ribbon came undone. And so if I had actually just thrown that to the side, the ribbon could have gone off into the forest that's off to my right, facing north, I guess, which in my mind is littering. And littering is one of the worst things, one of the worst qualities a person, like an average person, can have. Obviously, if you're a murderer or you're racist or something like that, that's a little worse than the propensity to litter. But since most people on the whole aren't typically horrible racists or murderers, to me, it's a very, very deep character flaw. If you, character flaw, sounded weird coming out of my mouth, if you litter. And if you do so, despite the fact that you should know better, you know, like areas where, I don't know, education is lacking and infrastructure is lacking, I can understand, I can empathize with the native population not caring to try and improve what they are surrounded by. But if you have gone through any amount of high school, any amount of college, you really shouldn't litter. It's basic. And, you know, America has a lot of problems. Littering is probably not at the top of the list, but, you know, it should be. You gotta have a foundation in order to build from. So, you know, if you litter as a common person, you probably got other character flaws as well. Morning. So I'm out here getting warmed up. Sleeping outside was totally fine. Comfortable even. It definitely got a little chilly around 3 and 5 a.m., but not so bad that I had to put on any of my jackets or anything like that. I was just wearing my base layer for sleeping. It was even almost a bit too warm. When I first went out there, the thermometer said that it was 64, I think around 11, which is pretty late for it to be that warm. So I was in for a warm night for sure. And I woke up to the birds this morning. Erica left to go work at the Grant Park Market for her old employer, Proof Bake Shop. Man, I'm going to pee here in a second. In fact, I might just do it right now. Find a good location. So it was nice. You know, woke up sore. I think, you know, especially because I did wear the pack yesterday. You know, I was already kind of sore before I even went to bed, and sleeping on a sleeping pad like that doesn't really do wonders for your soreness. And I always wake up kind of feeling puffy. This is a good pee. I just drank a big cup of tea before I left. So that's never a wise decision if you don't have ample locations to pee at. And this is a pretty good one. It's actually off the trail, pretty well secluded from view, despite the fact that everywhere else within this general area is pretty out in the open. Yeah, that was good. Very satisfying. There's a weird anxiety that comes with not having the ability to pee. It's like, I should be able to pee, but I can't, because people are around, or there's no bathroom, or whatever it might be. Let's see, what's the best way to do this? Alright, back on trail. James has about 10 minutes to find me before I'd say I'm too far gone for him to be able to locate me before, I don't even know. He said he was meeting a friend at 11:30 in Grant Park. That's an hour from now, though. Maybe he was going to hang out with me for an hour. That'd be cool. If he does, I'll definitely try to record the conversation. For posterity, of course. That's actually so tempting that I almost want to slow down. He's certainly not behind me yet. He's not in front of me directly. I'm sure it's still riding up. But yeah, if he's cool with that, I would love to. It would probably not be the best audio, unfortunately. This microphone, I think, is kind of weak. I think it's sort of I don't know, what's the opposite of a stereo microphone? It's just like it's got like one channel to it, basically. So maybe I'll take the headphones out. This is getting a little bit too much into my own thoughts in terms of stream of consciousness. So, yeah, I would love to see James. That'd be great. When I was peeing just now, talking about the word anxiety, I think that's a word I'm going to stop using in the same way that I've tried to start using for what it's worth. Like, I just think it's too loaded. It's like if I were to be saying that like I had ADD or OCD as like a general description of myself. I don't like the idea that I'm saying that something makes me anxious, because I'm like, it doesn't actually make me that anxious. That's just like the best word for it. But I think I could probably come up with a better alternative word. I'd have to think about it. What? Nervous isn't good. On edge is a bit informal. Saying that like something, oh yeah, I don't want to be late because if I'm commuting quickly, I'm trying to think of an example where I would use this word and then see what comes out naturally without wanting to say the word anxiety. So I'm running through a situation. Oh yeah, here. I wouldn't want to be late to a job interview because then I'd have to bike or run or walk faster, which would make me all sweaty. And then I'd arrive and I'd feel self-conscious, and that whole thing would make me feel, that's where anxious would go. But what's nervy? Nervy's not bad. No one says that. Nervy. Nerved. I feel like nerved is like a synonym for being mad. That nerves me. Maybe not. That doesn't sound familiar. This is such a Brody Stevens style podcast. I can't stop listening to it, and it's definitely affecting what I'm making. His style is just so easy to emulate, which is great. Now he's someone who also wouldn't shy away from defining himself with psychological terms. Although, interestingly, he doesn't think he's bipolar, so maybe I'm wrong about that. You know, who wants to be told, even by a doctor, that they're anything, really? I don't even want a doctor to tell me I have the flu. I was like, how the fuck do you know? Especially these doctors. I mean, it's an educated guess, I suppose. I remember quickly actually looking at the street right now, seeing if I can see James coming down this way. I don't see him. This is Grant Street, I believe. And I don't think he'd be coming down Grant Street. I think he'd probably come down Hill. So there's still a chance I could see him. In any case, going back to what I was saying, Brody Stevens podcast, yeah, so he wouldn't describe himself as bipolar. No one wants to be called anything. No one wants to be told that they're something. Yeah, I guess that's as far as it goes. I don't know. Maybe it's just like humanity's need to define what is like undefined. We don't like chaos, even if we have to create something that's obviously not true in order to explain something, if for no other reason than the fact that it is the only competing option. I think people will go with that, especially these days. I'm trying to think. I don't think most people, well, geez, I don't even interact with most people. How would I know? Like, just trying to think if I hear the phrase, I don't know, very often. Like, how often in my interactions with the few people that I hang out with, it's like, if you say, I don't know, there's sort of like an insinuation of like laziness there. Because especially in this age when, the internet is at our fingertips. Like, there's no excuse not to know. I feel like someone is more likely to have tacit agreement than to say that they don't know something. Where you say like, oh, you know, like the Jackson 5, and then you go something like, even if you've never listened to them, like, oh yeah. Or like saying like, yeah, I've heard of it. I know that it's a thing. I'm over the bridge now on Hill Street, taking another look around. This is where James, I would assume, would be coming from. Let me see if he's texted. 15 minutes in. Maybe I should be proactive and text him. What the heck? Over the Hill Street Bridge now. Oops. Alright, I'll wait and see what he says to that before I determine what I'll do next. I'm either going to walk forward or I'm going to wait for him. And I have gone 0.8 miles and I'm en route. Doesn't really matter how fast I'm going. It's not a race today. Plus, it's going to take 6 hours no matter what, even if it's 6.5, 6:45 or 6:15. So, no point to rush through it. The whole point of even wanting to do this at all was because I'm excited to see the section on the west side that I've never been able to find before. It's not going to be a hugely long section. It's only going to be, I would say, 2 miles at most. I'll confirm that later if I remember. Yeah, this is more of an exploratory day, not one where I'm trying to bust out some sort of fast-ass miles. Not yet, anyway. I'll save that for the trails. See if he's gotten back. Oh, it feels like he just texted. Oh man, you're way ahead of me. I wouldn't wait. I might try to catch you at some other point. Cool, sounds good. I'll be out for the next 6 hours. 6+ hours. Let's be honest. Alright, cool. Well, I'm glad James confirmed that quickly. Wouldn't want to be waiting around for a text message for 5 minutes just to be told to go on ahead. So, morning. Continuing now. Have to pass people who pass me. 0.8 miles in, so got 18 more to go or so. We'll do a bit of an audio tour here for a minute. Listen to the birds and the rocks. Morning.
Morning.
Man, my shoulders are sore. All right, on the road again. 10:35. Heading on without James. This fucking Beltline is going to be pandemonium. I guess, what is it? It's 11:12, 1:2. So it's like everyone's going to start the race when I'm 4 hours into this walk. And by that time, I wonder, shouldn't take them more than an hour and a half to do it if they start at 2. And by 4 o'clock, I'll probably be close to the East Side Beltline, or maybe in downtown. Close to Buckhead. What do you even call that area? Peachtree Hills? I don't know. In any case, yeah, it's getting a little warm on my back of my head. Pull my buff up. I have these sunscreen leggings that I wore when I went to New York that were pretty good for keeping the sun off me during those long hours on the bike. I tried to put them on this morning, but they don't stay on my leg. They just ride down, and it doesn't take very long. I mean, just walking around the house, I had to like pull them up 4 or 5 times, and I wasn't walking a ton, you know. Throw another piece of garbage wood off the trail. And even despite the few steps that I was taking just walking around, they kept falling off, so that's not going to work. It's going to be wasted space in my pack if I brought those. So I'm glad, even though I was a little tempted to not do it this morning, because I was like, God, these things look really stupid. It's sort of embarrassing to wear this, but, you know, embarrassment is better than skin cancer. And I've been frying my legs, not like summer style, like sunburns or anything, but, you know, March style sunburns, for what that's worth. Someone put broken TV on this display. That's funny. This TV's been over here broken just off to the side of the road for a long time. And someone actually moved it, and now it looks like it was purposefully placed. See? It's order out of chaos. That's the human spirit. Yeah, so the sun's at my back right now, because I guess, let me think about, I'm walking west. And yes, that makes sense, because Boulevard, which is my frame of reference, that runs north-south, and I'm going west. Not directly, probably like southwest. But, yeah, should be a good day. I'm digging it so far. I've got my backpack, I've got my water. I don't have anything to eat, which should be all right. I'll be stopping at Kroger later in the day to pick up some stuff for dinner. Oh wow, they demolished this warehouse up here. Dang. I think last time Charlie and I came out here was the last time I was out here, and they were just demolishing it, but they've taken down all of it now. It's just rubble. No more steel structure or anything. Damn. I wonder what they're going to put here. Probably like another craft brewery or some bullshit. Craft breweries today seem sort of almost like Subways or something like that, like sandwiches, you know, like they're everywhere, and it sort of like devalues them. Like, I don't know, a craft brewery now is just like a small brewery, you know. Craft pulls images of like, I don't know, like serving like 100 people a week. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna forget about that. That's stupid. But whatever does go here will probably be a craft brewery. Interesting. It's gonna be interesting coming back from the trail to see everything that's changed since I left. I anticipate a pretty stark difference. I mean, 4 to 6 months in the summertime. It's a lot of productive time to get some stuff done, unless it rains a ton. I know construction at a certain point can't move forward when it's all rainy. Oh damn. The old taxi place too, recently went up there with Charlie, and they had put like anti-entrance bars on every like surface, on every door and window. So they're like bolted in, and the bolt head is like on the inside of the room. So it's like beyond a tamper-proof bolt, because you literally just cannot turn it. It's just a flat head on the other side, and the bolt like pulls through and holds the board onto whatever you're trying to keep people out of. The only thing you can do is break the board. So I saw some of the rooms look like they had been accessed, but even still, that thing's not long for this world either. The original reason that was found is because there was like this extreme, this tower that was leaning at an extreme angle, and I noticed it while I was at Coffee with Reed. And it's just like, oh my god, like look at the angle of that tower, the way it's leaning. Like that is like noticeable at a distance, and looks terrible and terrifying. So we went over, followed the tower, and found that taxi place. And it was totally open. It was crazy. Stuff everywhere. It was hard to tell if it was like a place where like homeless people hung out, or like criminals hung out, or what. Like, I have no idea. But it was a good spot for both, depending on what they needed. And now, that's but a memory. The tower's been taken down, and you can't access any of the rooms. Although, it didn't look like they cleaned it out yet. I guess they're still waiting to get like 2,000 dumpsters to take all the stuff out. I mean, there are like 3 cars there. There's like this white, like, I don't know, Chevy Yukon or something like that. Like, I don't know, kind of looks like, maybe it's a Tahoe. And then there was 2 other cars. Those were not in as good a shape. Missing entire body sections, like engine mostly disassembled. This Yukon, though, looked like it had been placed there somewhat recently. I really don't know how or when, but in any case, fond memories. And even this walk right now, I'm recording this on the Unfinished Beltline, like, it won't be very long that this area is in this kind of shape. So this is a special day, special walk to be out here. What is it again? 24th? 6 days till I hit the trail. Today's the day of the belt grind, like I said. So this whole area is going to get torn up with 500 cyclists. It's going to be crazy. And I saw that Angel had posted some pictures that he seems to have gone through the actual course and marked it so that it's clear about where you should go. Because I've run this course a lot, and there are definitely certain areas that I don't understand yet. Man, that guy who I passed when I last said good morning is so far behind me. Maybe that's why I'm slightly out of breath. I was thinking to myself, like, man, I don't have like long strings of speaking right now, but if I look at the dude behind me, that's because I'm fucking hoofing it. I'm probably going like 3-something miles an hour. I wonder if it's got my average speed right now. Let's see. This says 2.8, but I also stopped over the bridge, and I think I started the actual tracker before I left the house when I was still looking around for dog poop and stuff. Listen to me making excuses. 28 minutes in. Yeah, man, it's nice out here. I have my beat stick, not for any good reason other than the fact that I'm going to be one of the few people who is on foot doing this today, going through some areas where just don't know what's going to happen. I don't really think it would be effective on a person, so I don't intend ever to be hitting a person with it. I do think it would be effective for a dog that was loose, like a pit bull that was coming toward me, rather than having to let it bite my arm so that I can punch it in the head. If I have a stick with me like this, I can take that out quickly and use that instead of having to sacrifice a limb, which would mean hospital time, which I don't have health insurance right now, so not a good call. I think, who was it? Franklin Delano Roosevelt or Teddy Roosevelt? I don't even know. The walk softly and carry a big stick, whatever. My stick's not that huge, but it's effective. And I think it's good enough just as a visual for people to see that I'm not just out here, unarmed. I do have something. Police officers walking around with their guns, like that's as much of a visual display of power as an actual physical one, if things get rowdy, this guy has the authority to pull a gun out and shoot somebody if they need to, if they deem it necessary and appropriate. So this stick is a much more mild version of that, perhaps it would make someone choose the next pedestrian to rob or to beat up or something like that instead of me, just because obviously I have an idea that danger is possible. So I'm not someone who you could just sneak up on, because I do look behind me and I do look around me, and a lot of that's because of my time on the bike. You have to look around if you're out riding your bike. I mean, I suppose you don't have to, but I'd imagine the careers of those cyclists who didn't were a lot shorter and more painful than mine. I got a rear view mirror affixed to my helmet for when I biked out to New York, and that thing, as simple and obvious as it is a complete game changer. That thing is amazing. I really can't understate. I'm gonna pee again while I've got good time to do so. Ugh. It's a nice place to camp. If I were to ever, hopefully I'm not peeing on someone's driveway. Their hypothetical, metaphorical driveway. This is just some tree brush. Oh, had too much tea. I'm buzzing on it. I'm feeling it. This edition of this prequel is certainly an example of strong caffeine stimulation. My phrasing and cadence is even like Brody Stevens. This is hilarious. I'm such a poser. Just totally, fully adopting a style that is not mine at all. But I do that, and then I find the points of that adoption that actually fit most well and naturally into my personality, and then I move on. And I think that's probably most people's experience. That's how you deal with influences in your life, unless you have some sort of a complex and an influence becomes like a god, then that's a problem. But just in terms of people influencing you, that's it's actually just a necessary part of being a person. And how else are you supposed to grow if you I guess if you take on characteristics of other people? It's actually a very good if you're doing it healthfully. So again, not because you have a complex, but as long as those are positive things you're taking on, that's great. And I guess the disclaimer here would be that Brody Stevens actually killed himself, so taking on idiosyncrasies from him might actually be more problematic, considering he was obviously someone who was not mentally well. But again, I'm not becoming him. I'm just adopting certain qualities that I'm really enjoying. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. So I'm imitating the things that I like most about him. And I've been listening to him since February. It's been almost a month since I've just been binge listening and going back in the archives and watching stuff on YouTube, all that stuff. It's just been, it's been great. I think, specifically his style of oration and speaking I just think it's so funny. So I think that's probably where the majority of the influence is going to be showing and fleshing itself out. So, yeah, take that for what it's worth. I'm walking across this janky-ass bridge right now. It's so sketchy feeling. They drive huge... Oh, Jesus, this board just moved. They drive huge dump trucks over it, so I suppose it's got the capacity to handle at least 10,000 pounds. But as you go across it, I assure you, that doesn't give you any peace of mind. To go back to the rear view mirror, anyone who's listening to this who is a cyclist, I would urge you, if you haven't done it already, if you're a active daily cyclist who goes and bikes, for your means of transportation or for your main hobby, whatever it may be, if you haven't already gotten the rear view mirror, I would recommend finding a tasteful looking one. Mine is like a Blackburn. I got it from REI for less than $10. It's pretty low key, but I would heavily recommend swallowing your pride, if it is a matter of that's keeping you from doing it, and grabbing one. Because it becomes so useful that it makes you feel superior to those who don't have it in terms of safety. Which, if you're going to feel superior about anything, I'd say that's a good one to indulge in, because, you know, if you can, I mean, it's just obvious. If you can see what's going on behind you, you can plan what's going on in front of you in the immediate future. So, you know, James, shout out to you. You know, I think if you had had a mirror on your helmet, you might have been able to get out of that ticket you got for running that stop sign. Because as often as you look to the left and the right, and as often as you might look behind you, if you have the mirror, you can do it even more so. Because instead of taking an entire turn of your head and therefore taking your attention off what's directly in front of you, you just move your eyes slightly. And you turn your head so that you can see, you can sort of scan the area behind you, so that you can make sure that there's nothing going on. So, again, highly recommend it. It's something that I miss even as a pedestrian now. And I know for sure the first couple weeks after I stopped riding my bike, I would look into the left corner of my vision, because that's where the mirror used to be, when I was out walking, in hopes that I could see behind me without having to turn around. Obviously, this was sort of muscle memory and not a real thing, so I didn't see anything, but it was ingrained into my behavior that much, and it was just dead useful. So that's my advice for the day, and in fact, might be my advice for the week. I mean, to be honest, that's something that's so useful and important. It stands to reason that the only message that would need to be repeated for the next 7 days would be that you should definitely get one. It just can't be understated. But speaking of understated, I am under the interstate currently. Trying to think, this is 85 for sure, but I don't really know close to what exit. I mean, I'm close to University, so maybe the University, exit on 85? That's a bad thing. Move that out of the way. That could definitely make somebody go over the bars. Speaking of which, past one of the first indicators that I'm on the belt grind. It is a bicycle seat and handlebar that have been painted white, and they're placed on a headboard so it looks like a deer, if you can imagine that. Which they must have somewhat recently placed those around, because that's not something I'd seen in the past. Which makes sense. As you know, I'm out here every single day, pretty much. Not necessarily this section, but on the unfinished Beltline for sure. It's hard for me to go for a walk and not either take it leaving my house, going back to my house, both. Oftentimes it is both. And it will be today, in fact. Obviously, as I said earlier, the beginning and the end will be at the same point, which really is nice for me. Couldn't hope for more. I mean, in this specific instance, not only does it mean that I don't have to go anywhere, this is just my backyard basically for the beginning of this walk. All I have to do is keep going forward and I get back to where I wanted to be. But it also means Beltline property. So my house is going to be worth a lot of money in the future. And, you know, Ben Chestnut, one of his pieces of advice to me was that I should get some passive income. And damn, if I can get like $1 million on my house, which that's wishful thinking for sure. But, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars on that house, then I'll have some passive income for a bit. I mean, obviously that's kind of a dumb way to look at it, because it's not like you can sell your house and then, like, you know, if I do that, I don't have a house anymore. So finding another house is sort of essential at that point. So a huge portion of that money would go to the acquisition of like another property or another something, somewhere to live, unless my intention is to not have a place to live, which after the trail, who knows? It'd be a shame, I think, to sell the house that soon, because the unfinished Beltline isn't supposed to become the finished Beltline for another 3 years. So, you know, at worst, I would say have to rent it out for a few years or something. I don't know. I'm getting way ahead of myself, and this is like a hypothetical situation that doesn't even necessarily bear itself out in reality. So all that just to say, when my parents sold me that house, and at the time I was able to afford it, it was a really good investment in the future. It gives me some comfort. You know, not only do I have my savings and things like that from the years I worked at MailChimp, but I also own a house. So that's just like money that can be accessed by me if I need to at any time. So that's nice. A lot of people my age don't have that necessarily. And I can't claim any credit for proactively going after that. If you had asked me when I was in high school, middle school, elementary school, when I thought I would own a house, I really don't think I would say that like in my late 20s, I would buy a house. I'm not really sure what I would say to that question, to be honest. I'd be like, why would I buy a house? I feel like I'd say something like that. But if I was from the future, I'd be like, no, I'm telling you, in the next 10 years, you from now and your 18-year-old self, the next 10 years, you will buy a house at some point. What year, how many years from now do you think it will be, given that I've capped it at 10? It'd be interesting. I probably would just skew it towards the older side. I'd be like, I don't know, 28 or 29, which I guess would be correct. So it wouldn't be that much. I guess if I did go back in time, maybe I wouldn't do it just to ask that question. That's deflating to think about how mundane that would be. I've all of a sudden gotten the ability to go back in time, and I'm like, oh, I should go ask myself an inane question, the answer to which will do nothing for no one. Yeah, I'd rather do something a little bit cooler than that. If I had an uncapped time machine and I could do stuff safely, man, so many times I'd want to go back to. Not in my lifetime, not at all. I'd want to go see some stuff, man, some fucking dinosaurs, go see the biblical times, see what was going on back then. Like, what the fuck, guys? What is going on here? What's up with all this Abrahamic religion? You know, I'd want to progressively go back in time. Like, first go back, I guess, try to learn something about Islam, and then go back to when Muhammad was alive. See him, see what the deal is, see what the starts of this, how this began. Go back a little further, see Jesus, assuming these people actually existed and could be found. Be like, okay, assess that situation, figure out, from whence all of this has come. Go back a little further, find Abraham, I guess, whatever. And then from there, go see some scientifically important stuff after having gotten all of that nonsense out of the way. But that would be quite an education. Just be like, how did this happen? How did this gain momentum and become a world-changing phenomenon? Like, God. Literally, God. You know, this is back from the infancy of our species, as Christopher Hitchens would say. And again, we're biased toward any explanation, provided it gives us liberation from the chaos. And this was like the best explanation. It set up an entire hierarchy. Like, why wouldn't you use that? It makes total sense retrospectively. No one knows how anything works. People die all the time. Disease seems to have no rhyme or reason. People kill each other. There's no justice, you know? Who can even imagine, who lives today, a world so terrible? I mean, even the fact that my father was born before, like, the passing of the civil rights, like, legislation, law? I guess it's the law. Like, the world that he was born into is unfathomably shitty. Like, having separation of races, it's terrible. And it's shocking and grotesque, and it occurred, the liberation from that backwards line of thinking, it happened shortly after my father was born, which is just ultra bizarre. He might have been as old as 7 or 8 when that stuff was passed. I have no idea when that stuff was passed. Yeah, take that for what it's worth. But, you know, surely that informed his morals and everything. And then here, to me, being his son, one generation removed, I can't even imagine it. So that was just a matter of 50 or so years. From then until now, there's some cyclists behind me. Perhaps some people previewing the course. So imagine how much more compoundings you would have to do to get back to how terrible the world must have been even just 2,000 years ago. Terrible, terrible place. The fact that anything survived out of that barbaric dark age is amazing. And in and of itself is a miracle, let alone the false miracles that all those things purport to be true. I mean, the burning of the libraries of Alexandria, like, before the internet, forget about it. And it's also dumb to have all your books in one spot, guys, come on. That's stupid. That's precisely why you make copies, and maybe they had copies, who knows. I'm just, it was before the Gutenberg press, so obviously any kind of replication was a manual labor, and most people probably couldn't even read, so what the fuck is the point? Maybe there weren't even that many books in Alexandria, who knows? Doesn't matter. I'm sure there's information about that. Like Pliny the Elder that was like his favorite library. He'd go there and chill, drink some tea, read some books, figure some shit out, and then in his own writings say a little something about how many books were there. So many books. Takusan, how do you say book in Japanese? Watashi no kyokusho. I think that's our text for kyokusho. Takusan kyokusho? Does that mean many books in Japanese? I feel like kyokusho is not the word for book. Hon is that tree? Ki is the word for tree. Hon, H-O-N, that is the word for book. So takusan hon. Takusan I wonder how Japanese people say that. I think that's one of those words where the word is takusan, which means many, but the word is hon, H-O-N, which means book. But I think if you say it verbally, I think that they might remove some consonants or vowels from one or the other word so that they can say it easier. Because if you say takusan hon, it's hard to say. And I know from watching Steven Pinker and stuff like that language evolves to take the path of least resistance. So takusan hon, I bet there's two types of readings in Japanese for kanji, which I believe they're kun and on. Man, I could be so wrong about that. But basically, there's a Japanese reading of a kanji, and then there is a Chinese reading of a kanji that has been appropriated by Japanese. So sometimes you use one or the other, depending on, I don't know what it's depending on, but surely there is a reason. And this might be an instance where the Chinese reading is used. Maybe. I'm trying to think. Kokubunji. Is Kokubunji? I think that means Chinese letter. Man. I have not vocalized Japanese thoughts in a long time. I guess I definitely still have Japanese knowledge. I can certainly speak in Japanese as long as the conversation is basically that of someone who has no frontal cortex. I can say bathroom, toilet ni ikitai ne. I think that means I need to go to the bathroom. Or at least I want to. Got some bikes coming up behind. Okay, what else can I say? That's an important phrase. Do desu ka? That's how is it? How is it? Yeah, like do, how? Let's see. Something that would be actually useful to say something to someone. I know for sure when I was in Japan, I learned like survival Japanese because I went for bike rides and I would get lost. And I also learned how to read a map because I didn't like getting lost. And so this is before I ever had a Garmin or a Wahoo head unit, which I really should have invested in. or asked for my birthday or something, so that I could get one for that trip, so that I could just follow the Chevron lines. But in any case, the fact that I didn't have that made things way cooler. So yeah, learning how to read a map, which, not hard, but who needs that skill these days? I mean, it's not something that most people would need to do. It's insane people actually use their GPS to go places they already know how to get to. How's it going?
What time are you guys doing that thing?
You asking me?
Are you guys doing
The bell grind? The bell grind?
Yeah.
I think it starts at 2 today.
What are they doing?
It starts at Monday Night Brewing,
Yeah.
and then it just goes either clockwise or counterclockwise, and I think it just ends at the same spot it started. So, yeah, it's going to be pandemonium out here. 500 people.
Oh, on this section?
Yeah.
Just to Glenwood and back?
Yeah. Oh, it's, I guess, the whole thing, all 19 miles.
Oh, all the way to, the whole way around the whole way around?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Oh, that's awesome.
In fact, here's a sign to show the official route.
Cool.
Yeah, have fun.
All right, man.
Sweet. This is the sign Angel put up. Interesting. So the belt grind route goes on this part of the belt line. It bypasses Murphy Avenue. Huh. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. That's lame. I gotta say, you're skipping a huge, really cool section to get onto a really lame section. Finished belt line. But, to be fair, I'm walking the course, so I don't want it to be unofficial. I want to go the real route and check my chevrons on the, yeah, this is right. 2.5 miles in, like 6 times further to go. Not that it matters. I don't care. It could be 3 times farther. I'd still be out here doing this. Man, I was off on a tear. What was I talking about? I was digging it. I know I talked about a time machine for a while. What did I say after that? Damn it. That guy totally pulled me out of my head. This is worth trying to recapture. What was I saying? Man, this is where it'd be convenient to have the ability to rewind. But what could it have been? It wasn't about time machines anymore. I talked about times being better now, more so than ever. Shit. What the fuck was I talking about? I remember, I think I cracked a joke. Damn it. That's really a shame. Well, I have almost been talking for an hour. I've already made this the longest clip I've ever made. It's longer than the drive to Lilburn the other day. So, damn, since I can't remember what I was talking about, I guess I'll just quickly go over what I have planned for the rest of the week, and then I'll just go from there. Sweet. Major props to Angel for this. So today's Sunday. I'm doing this for the rest of the day. Erica will be home later. Can drink some beer, make some pork, some Korean barbecue sauce. It'll be really good. How's it going? Tomorrow's Monday. It's supposed to rain. I plan on sleeping outside tonight, and I hope it rains during the night because I really want to test out the rain stopping ability of my tent. I noticed a few things last night, and then I'll get back to my calendar if I don't remember what I was trying to remember to begin with. Anyway, noticed a couple things. One, I slept with my head on the wrong side, and I ascertained this because I was sleeping close to the tags, I don't know, federal information that goes out with any product that you buy that like a 3-year-old child could suffocate inside of it and like don't have a fire inside. Sorry, AFI, no fires inside. So I was sleeping with my head towards the tags, which anytime I moved my head, I would shuffle in the tags and it sounded like leaves moving. So that can't be proper. And to compound the fact that I knew I was on the wrong side, the other side of the tent actually has like a little mesh pocket down at arm's length if you're actually laying down. So obviously that's where your head goes. And then you can put all your stuff there and then easily access it throughout the night. So, oh cool, Angel's got solar panels. I didn't know that. So that will be corrected tonight, and hopefully it rains pretty good. The bathtub in my tent is a good, like, it looks like 6 to 8 inches above before the mesh part starts. So I think I'll stay dry and warm, but I'd rather find that out now than later. See if Angel's out. I'm gonna give him some props for what he's done. In fact, maybe I should just text him. I'm gonna text Angel. I haven't texted him in a long time. Alright, let's text Angel, then we'll get back to my calendar. Walking the course now. Fucking goddamn it. The arrows you placed are very helpful. All right, cool. So, yes, I hope there's rain tonight. That'll be a good test. And then tomorrow, I'm meeting Lindsay. So, if there's rain, I'll probably wake up early. I guess I'll need to have an umbrella close to me so I can get to the house. Or I guess that doesn't really matter. How wet can I get in the span of like 10 feet? Go talk with Lindsay, have some coffee. Then I'll probably go for a walk after that. Again, it should be rainy. So I've already kind of switched officially to my new shoes since my other ones have a hole in the sole. And I don't want to be getting my feet wet when I walk. If I'm not even going through a puddle, I don't want my feet to be getting wet. That's bullshit. Tuesday, potentially walking to Noah's house, which is in like slightly east of Avondale, so east of Decatur. Wednesday, we're having a family like dinner at my house. One more time to say goodbye. I feel like we said goodbye like 10,000 times. Morning. Thursday. Let's see. How's it going? Let's see. Thursday, probably meeting my mom at Stone Mountain to walk the Cherokee Trail with her. Friday's Friday, the day before the trail. So, D-Day, basically. The only thing I'll be doing that day is making sure I have everything, probably going for a walk, and then making my night before the trail clip for the Trek podcast that I'm a part of. And I already talked to my mom this morning about her and my dad showing up. I told them they really don't have to. Like, it's not necessary. I wouldn't ask them to do it, or I guess I should say I wouldn't request that they do it. It's going to be interesting, actually, now to think about further ahead of me on the Beltline. Like, I wonder where Angel designates the trail goes once we get to the bridge at the end of this section of the West Side Beltline. We'll see, I guess. Anyway, yeah, they probably won't end up showing up, and that really is fine with me, because, like, you know, when I went to Japan, like, that was one thing. That was a huge trip. I was really going somewhere. But to be fair, on the Appalachian Trail, they could really drive up and see me in the same day if they ever wanted to or needed to. So, I don't know. It's a trip on a very different scale. So, I don't think they'll end up coming, which should be nice, because then, or at least not nice, but you know what I mean. It'll just be me and Erica. So it could be a little bit more intimate between the two of us, which is nice, before saying goodbye for 4 to 6 months, which is the time period that I'm giving it. I think it'll take less than 6, but I'm not sure if it won't take more than 4. I don't know. You know, I'm out here walking. I'm getting that training in, putting in the steps and the time. I'm not going to be hitting the trails feeling like gotta get into shape. I'm ready to go. I'm like a soldier right now, Joey Diaz style. A fucking soldier. been training, just like Joey Diaz talks about. I'm ready to go. Oh shit. It's like a hawk killing something up ahead. Some dude just passed me. Damn. We'll have to see what this bird is eating and then I'll go. Keeps like stomping on something. This is sad. This is life. Let's see what this bird is killed. Probably a mouse. Oh, Jesus. Stomping on it. What is this bird doing? Let's watch this for a minute. Oh, there it goes. Guess I spooked it off. Maybe it didn't have anything. In fact, now that I think about it, the stomp that it just did, I think he was stomping it to try to scare it to move so that he could find where it went. He doesn't have anything. He's just hunting. Presuming it's a he. Anyway, great. This was a good clip. Too much. Yeah, this caffeine is good. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.